It's my pleasure to welcome you here to the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. Today, well, same story, different day. Can you say that? More issues come up constantly in my reading with VRBO and Airbnb. And the question is, who's responsible when something goes wrong when you're renting a place to stay, and the finger pointing that goes on? I want to talk about what you need to be aware of, not to put the kibosh on these sites, but to be aware. And later, the car buying experience right now is at the same time the best it's ever been and the worst it's ever been. I want to tell you how it's going two directions at once. And you need to know about tactics dealers are doing that could be dangerous to your wallet. So, wow. Day after day after day, the stories that come up about renting principally from Airbnb and VRBO, and occasionally there'll be one for a minor booking site called Vacatia, however you say it. Here's the problem. These platforms make available, they're basically giant listing services. And you think about their design from the ground up, it's very libertarian. They're making it possible for you, wherever you are in the world, to list a room in your place, an apartment, whatever it is, a villa, a farmhouse, a tree house, you name it, that you can list it for rent and be connected to customers all over the globe. It's incredible, and it's fantastic. The problem comes when something goes wrong. And you can have real diffusion of responsibility where you've got often with a VRBO or Airbnb, you have an owner of a property, you have a management company that manages that property for that owner. They may contract out cleaning and all the rest. I've experienced before with using these rental platforms where a place will be just as represented. It'll be fantastic. I'm thrilled to be there. And then other times, it doesn't look anything like the pictures. And it could be really dirty. And there's one that my family still talks about that we were in. This is going to sound so overprivileged. We were on a family trip to Hawaii. And we had rented, in this case, it was a VRBO. And it was filthy. Filthy. And so it was a absentee owner from California, a management company in Maui. And so called the management company, and all I got was a voicemail. And we cleaned the place ourselves. I mean, come on. We were paying real money. I put in a complaint with VRBO, heard nothing. That was just one experience. Because others I've had have been great. It's so random, though. So with the service guarantees not being specific, time is your friend or your enemy. You need to immediately, when you arrive at a place and things are not okay, take pictures. You need to contact the platform you booked on, Airbnb or VRBO. You need to contact the management company, or if it's being managed by the owner immediately. And be very clear what it is you want. If in your opinion, let's say there's mold throughout the place, you need to talk about a relocation. the platforms tend to say, well, we need the owner of the property to say they'll release you from your obligation. The one thing, if a place is uninhabitable, you need to have one goal, and that is that you want an alternate location, and you cannot stay there. It is not safe for you to stay there. Usually that'll be a health thing. In our case, where the property was just filthy, and we're capable of cleaning ourselves. We did. We shouldn't have had to, but we did, and we enjoyed our week there. But everything you do needs to be documented, needs to be done early. And there's an old thing called you ate the evidence in business and hospitality. If you complain but you stay, it's looked at as you gave up your rights. So right away, you need to document, complain every possible way, be realistic what you want, and reinforce that when people are not responding in a meaningful way as quickly as you can. Know that if you abandon a property and you go stay somewhere else, you may get stuck with the bill from the first place and the bill for the second place. And that, to me, is one of the core problems with Airbnb and VRBO. That's why the persistent ones may get satisfaction. If you're not persistent, you may be just stuck. Christa, you and I have argued about this for 15 years because you use Airbnb specifically. You use it routinely for your travel.
I do like it. But with caution. I use it with caution.
How many times have you had an experience like we had with a place being filthy?
I never have.
Wow.
I've been really lucky, I guess. But have
you ever ended up at a place that was not as represented?
No. But I will only stay in a place that a lot of people have stayed in. There are lots of reviews. I really prefer the hosts that have the special designation. I get really nervous about it, understandably. So I don't know that we argue. We're probably really thinking the same thing. It's just I also sympathize with Airbnb trying to figure out if I were owning that business, how would I possibly police all this? It's just much harder than managing a hotel chain, I believe. It's different when it's a marketplace. All marketplaces face that.
Right.
So,
and they do, both Airbnb and VRBO say we're not a hotel chain.
Right.
That we are different. We're a booking platform, and you have to remember that.
Okay, we'll go to questions. This one is from Renee in New Mexico. I have a Vanguard brokerage account and have received 2 requests to vote for a Vanguard proposal presented in a proxy statement. Do I really need to do this? I can't make an informed vote because I don't know what the issues are, and I don't feel comfortable just rubber stamping whatever this is. Do you receive this too, and what are you going to do, and what should I do? Okay,
there may be people that are going to be horrified by this. I never vote any of the proxies. In fact, I know what the proxy envelopes look like when they come from Vanguard and Schwab. I don't even open them. I just throw them out.
Recycling bin.
Yeah. Well, yes, we do recycle.
I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying that's what I do. They go right in there.
So everybody approaches this differently, but most people are lame like Christa and me and just toss those like you did.
Jeff in Indiana says, Clark, you often give us money-saving tips on securing hotel and motel rooms. Oh, speaking of Airbnb and hotels. I don't believe I've heard you talk about the Trivago price shopping tool. What are your thoughts about Trivago?
So, Jeff, the complaints on review sites about Trivago are really, really bad. I think it's fine to use it as a comparison shopping tool. Be very, very wary of using it to book rooms. Now, you're not helping them if all you do is comparison shop there. But if you want to see what I'm talking about, go look at review sites and see how low the ratings are on Trivago. and they advertise a lot.
I haven't seen it in a while. There was that guy who always did their commercials.
Really?
A very handsome man. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if he still does them or not.
Okay. Anyway, I don't use that platform, and so I can't give you personal experience, but anytime I'm looking at using an e-commerce site or anything in the travel industry, I always go, if it's new to me, and read reviews. And with hotel bookings in particular, you'll see a lot of sites that may have a crazy lower price at a place, and then you go read reviews about that booking site, and I don't walk away, I run away.
Mike in Kansas says, I recently saw an article recommending this website to check for a lost 401k. I'm concerned since it wants your full Social Security number to do a search. Is this a Clark recommended site?
Yes, it is.
I didn't read the site name, but it's
unclaimedretirementbenefits.com. It's one of the ones on our guide to looking for missing or lost retirement accounts. We have an article on Clark.com that you can go to. We've reviewed these sites, and as best we're able to determine, this is one of the ones that is a legitimate site. You always have the risk anywhere you're asked for your Social Security number. The reason you have to do it with an old retirement account is that's how they have the databases are all based on your Social Security number. So anytime you put your Social Security number out there, there's risk attached, but this is not a scam site trying to steal your information. It would be a scammer, a hacker, who would hit their database and get people's Social Security numbers. So looking for a lost or missing 401k, this is one of the tools, this site, but we have others as well. And our article is called How to Find Missing or Lost Retirement Accounts.
And I do mention we link to articles that you mentioned in the podcast, the episode notes. Wherever you're listening or watching, you can find the link in the notes.
Because we are full service
yes.
Here at a discount price.
Not totally free because there are ads, but yes.
Yeah. So we got the info for you, and I hope that you'll report back that you found an old 401k and how much money is sitting there that you're getting back in your life. So coming up, second largest purchase people make is their vehicle. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the car market we need to talk about when you're looking for a vehicle to be aware of, wary as well. It's funny because ever since the COVID supply chain disruptions, dealing with car dealers has become much less consumer friendly. I had talked about through the 10s how buying a car had become less of a grind than it had been in the past. But it's like car dealers got lazy and practices got messy again. And things are not pro-consumer now when you go to buy a new or used vehicle. At the same time, buying vehicles from some places has become extremely consumer friendly. For years and years and years, I've talked about CarMax and CarMax.com, and more recently, Carvana, although they've had their operational issues. But it's completely transparent. And I remember interviewing the founder of CarMax back when it started in, if I remember right, Richmond, Virginia. I did a TV interview with him. And he said, what we did is we did research. What do people hate about car buying? And we're going to eliminate all those pain points. And if you think about how CarMax and CarMax.com do things, they've done exactly that for more than a generation. But old habits die hard. And a lot of dealers still live in the world of the grind. where they lure you into their trap, try to keep you hungry, dehydrated, and then work you over a number of hours into a deal that's a non-deal that's terrible for you and your wallet. And now you hear so much about AI, and I talk about how AI can be good and AI can be bad. Go to virtually any dealer website now for newer used vehicles. They're going to have an AI kind of thing there. And usually there will be a picture of a really attractive young woman, and you click on it and it will carry on a conversation with you. And you'll ask about something, you'll say, oh yeah, whatever it is you want, it's always yes. And all it's about is luring you to the lot and generating a lead. They'll get your phone number or they'll get your email, and then everything the AI told you pretty much is a lie. They don't have that car. They don't have that price. It's all about the game of getting you into the grind. So know that when you see that AI button, it's a trap. Maybe someday there will be dealers who actually use it as a positive for a consumer. But behind the curtain, there are these marketing organizations that go to dealers and say, we're going to help you. It's so hard for you to find new customer leads. We're going to help you get those new customer leads. And they show them the tools. And it's amazing how it lures somebody in. So know that at least today at most dealers, is not real. It's an illusion. And you don't want to be at the dealer making a deal. You're putting all the power in their hands. You want to do it on your turf, at your office computer, your home computer. Most people on Carvana are buying the car on their phone. What's different about CarMax and Carvana? That is something that the rest of the car business stubbornly resists. You can return the vehicle for a full refund within the policies they have that tend to be 7 to 30 days. You can return it because you just didn't like it. You don't even have to give a reason, and you get your money back. You can't buy a car, drive it coast to coast, put thousands of miles on it, come back before the trial period's up and say, here's your car back. They've prepared for that. But the rest of the car business is not adopting these kind of policies. But I want to tell you there is hope. And I've talked about the electric vehicle makers like Tesla and Rivian. I don't know about Lucid. But with them, you buy a car right on the app or the website. You buy it there. You know what you're paying. Everything's clear. No games, no gimmicks. It's easy. Amazon looks at this, and Amazon's like, we're going to do this. And Amazon set up, who knows how much money they've spent on it, Amazon Autos. The only automaker that signed up so far is Hyundai. But you can go in the markets that the Hyundai Amazon thing is in effect. You can go on Amazon Autos. All you do is go to Amazon.com and then put in the search box autos, and it'll pop up where you click on the Amazon Autos shopping thing. You put in your zip code, and you'll see if there are participating Hyundai dealers near your zip code. And then the vehicle prices are right there. You see what junk fees the dealer charges. You see everything involved with the transaction, and you can execute it right there from your computer. You've been looking for a particular, Santa Fe or, Hyundai models. Hyundai Sonata, whatever the models are. You can go there and pick it out with the equipment you want, the color you want exterior, the color you want interior, and the price is already transparent in there. And Amazon from time to time is running promotions where they give you Amazon shopping vouchers or gift card, electronic gift card kind of things for a couple of $1,000s as they try to establish this as a way that people would buy a vehicle in the marketplace. What's great is the transparency. And dealers hate transparency, which I just don't get, because building long-term loyalty is what it should be about in business. And why the grind exists is foolish tradition in the car business, where instead it should be about what is it you want today, and it should be an honest, clear, clean event.
All right, we'll go to...
Hope springs eternal in me.
Always. Clark colored glasses. You say I have Christa colored glasses.
You do have Christa colored glasses.
Okay, I somehow neglected to put this person's name in here, so I apologize to you, but here's the question. I'm aware of your advice to avoid using ATM cards for purchases, gas, groceries, points of sale, etc., and I'm transitioning from that to using my Chase Southwest card with bonus miles, mainly for security reasons. That said, other than obtaining cash or depositing funds at the bank ATM, in what situation would you use an ATM card? And I also had someone else write in saying, how do I get cash out? People were very confused by your advice on that.
So it used to be you could get an ATM card that was just an ATM. You would go to an ATM, you'd get cash. The banks and credit unions didn't like that. They wanted it to have a Visa, MasterCard logo on it. And now with some issuers, you can go into their app and have it be authorized for $0 POS, point of sale. And if you do that, then it can still only be used at an ATM. Some banks and credit unions don't permit that. But what I do is I carry an ATM card that has, I don't know what logo it has on it. It has a Visa logo on it. The only thing I've ever used it for is an ATM here or in another country. And that's the safest thing to do with an ATM card, with a debit card. Debit cards, because the banks use their lobbying power in Washington to prevent having consumer protections on them that are equivalent to what you have on a credit card, the banks push them so much because you're exposed for various fraud activity and stuff that would happen on a card, not the bank.
Okay, Tara in Virginia says, I'm trying to take your advice and break up with my traditional bank. I've wanted to break up with them for years. They are the worst. So I'm taking baby steps. I opened an account with Virginia Credit Union, and I've been getting paid from freelance into this account. But when I try to pay bills, I get scared. I have to enroll in bank bill pay, and I don't understand why this is. When I start to get brave and enroll, I have to sign a terms of agreement that is so long, I don't know I could possibly read it all in this lifetime. What's the deal? Why do I have to enroll to pay bills with this credit union? Should I do this? This isn't going to lead me to Zelle, is it?
It could.
You might have created a little
too.
Paranoia, maybe a little.
Well, it's my job.
Right, I guess so.
Yeah, because Big Bad Zelle is Big Bad Zelle for a reason. Anyway, with bank bill pay, something that I use routinely for a long, long time, and I use it virtually never. I talked recently, I forgot how few transactions I did in 24, I think it was 14 bill pays through my brokerage account. And what I do now instead is something that years and years ago I told you not to do, and now I realize today it's a better thing to do, is whoever you're paying, go to their website, whether it's a credit card company or it's rent or whatever, pay it on their website. So it's directly being paid there. You don't have the intermediary of the bill pay service. I imagine that this credit union you've joined, just like virtually any other financial institution, they're using a third-party bill pay service. And when a payment goes missing, and let's say you're subject to late fees or whatever, nobody takes responsibility. That's why particularly time-sensitive payments like rent, mortgage, credit card payments, anything where your reputation and your wallet are on the line, pay at the source rather than from the account. So I don't know that I would set up bill pay with the credit union, because as long as you've got an account with routing numbers and account number, you can pay bills directly at the organization where the bill is due. For almost all organizations, you'd be paying.
I'd feel a lot safer using the credit union bill pay myself
Than
going in and putting all my numbers into different websites that could be hacked. I just would.
So you still use bill pay routinely?
I use it for several things, but I pay the ones I can't pay with credit cards, yes, without a fee. Okay, Gary in Wisconsin says, I recently noticed my wife's Vanguard Roth account had a target retirement income fund that was showing a very low return for the year as compared to the year-to-date total listed by Vanguard. After further investigation, I discovered that all her dividends and capital gains were being sent to a money market settlement fund. We probably overlooked this option when we made the initial purchase. Unfortunately, her gains on that particular mutual fund were low for 2 years.
Oh,
I wanted to point that out to your listeners. Check the year-end gains on each fund you own and see if it matches the year-to-date gain listed for the account. We called Vanguard and had the settlement fund money returned to the target retirement income fund and changed all future gains to be reinvested in that fund.
I can't thank you enough for doing this post. This is really important, and it's something that never comes up within what we typically do on this podcast. When you sign up for a brokerage account, retirement account, anything like that, you'll be asked a question, and it'll be simply reinvest dividends, yes or no. The wording may be more complicated, but the answer is yes. You want those reinvested in the fund if it's a long-term holding, like with a target retirement fund where you're building money for the future. When would someone not want dividends reinvested? There's one circumstance I can think of, and it would be if you are at the reverse phase of life where you're in retirement and you're spending money. People may be in dividend-heavy funds that they're living off the dividends that the fund throws off. And that would be a circumstance where you would not reinvest. But anybody in the accumulation phase of life, in other words, when you're building up money for the future, you want to reinvest those dividends, but you have to elect that with the fund provider. And thank you so much, Gary, for pointing that out, because it's one of those things that's kind of in the ether and would never normally be part of our content, but is today because of you, and I so greatly appreciate that. And you may be wondering, with this being a Friday podcast, why was there no Clark Stinks? Well, you may have heard this explanation the other day, which is why I put it at the end of this podcast instead of the beginning. But because I am now only doing 3 podcasts a week instead of 5, I felt it would tilt the content too much towards recap with the Clark Stinks. And so we're going to try for a while doing Clark Stinks every other Friday, see how that shakes out, and then make a decision going forward. And we'll also see, based on your feedback, if you are really missing Clark Stinks on Fridays. So that's why it's not here for you today on a Friday podcast. And Christa, I'm wondering, have we ever not done a Clark Stinks on a Friday?
It's been a long time.
Very unusual, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's a new year. A new year, a new Clark.
So this is the first Friday that I know of we've ever not done.
You want me to tell you
Clark
something you
Stinks.
stink about?
What's that?
I can't think of anything. I was just saying,
no.
I could give you one if you really want me to.
You could without even thinking that hard.
No, I couldn't.
You
You're
could.
the best. You're the best.
No.
You work too hard.
That is true. I accept that.
Even with your new schedule.
Yeah, because I do so many other things and broadcast and all that. Yeah.
You don't want to spend enough time with us at work.
That's what's terrible. I need to spend more time with y'all.
Yes.
It's so fun.
You stink.
I do. But that's it for Clark Stinks today, Christa's
that's it.
Corner. So anyway, I hope that you have a great, great weekend. And know all weekend long, we're here for you at clark.com and clarkdeals.com. And if you've never signed up for our newsletters, you got to get to it because they're wonderful. I mean it. I look at the newsletters that we put together, and I'm so proud of our editorial team because one thing that's my rule, we do not waste your time. And I want to give you information in whatever channel we do. This information you can act on in your own life. A lot of things feel like the decision trees are just too complicated. Our job is to simplify and clarify. And that's what we do every day with everything we do. So you want to see our newsletters? They're free. Go to clark.com/newsletter or newsletters. And know what we're about with everything, that you learn ways to save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off. And we'll be at your service Monday.